This is a video request on how to clean the XDM. This will also work for other guns. I use the same method to clean the Glock, to clean my 1911s. It really doesn't change too much. I've hesitated doing these types of videos because if you ask 10 different guys, you'll probably get 10 different answers of the correct way to clean a gun. And I realize that some out there may have different methods. I'm just showing you the one I use, and it's worked for me for the many years that I've done it. First, you want to get yourself some type of solvent that's going to clear the fouling of the gun or all the black stuff that's left over from shooting. A type of lubricant that prevents rust and lubricates the gun. A type of rod so you can run the bulk patches through the barrel. And here are the cotton patches that I use. One thing I like about them is they're a 9mm to a 45 cal, so there's kind of a one size fits all. I do use Q-tips. I realize that some guys don't and that they're very adamantly against them. If you don't use Q-tips, great. I do. And a toothbrush. And also these bore brushes I use. I've since gone away from this type because it becomes so disformed over time, and I've gone to a nylon type of bore brush, and it's growing some type of something in there. But I don't use these bore brushes every time, just if I've shot the gun a lot or it's really dirty. That's really the only time I use it. So here's my gun patch. Typically what I like to do, fold it in half. And there you go. We'll dip it in the hops. And I'm not too brand. Use whatever works for you, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And you'll always want to enter the barrel this side. But the thing is sometimes if you don't want to go all the way out, make sure I'm doing this on camera here. If you don't want to go all the way out, then don't. A lot of guys recommend that you don't. But, I'll see a lot of guys take it back out and in. I don't know. You do what you think is best. Normally this will come out pretty black, but again, I haven't been shooting it, so it's not terribly dirty. Now after I get done cleaning the barrel, I'll usually do this 3 more times before I stop. But after the first time, I'll then take this piece and I'll use this to wipe off the insides of the slide and those other areas I just told you. Maybe I'll actually go through this process but speed it up to make the video a little shorter. And sometimes this is where I'll use the Q-tips. I use it for 2 things, cleaning and oiling. Q-tips, again, you may have a different method of doing this and that's fine, but I find myself that they're really good for getting down in these crevices where other things are hard to get down in there. So, it just works real well. And honestly, yeah, sometimes I do notice that they leave a little fuzz behind, but I just go in there and pick it off with my fingers, so that's how I do it. So make sure I do the outside of the barrel too. Make sure I get in right here. Now, again, this is a clean gun, so normally this part is really dirty. But I get in there and clean. And this has got a little notch. Every little gun has its nooks and crannies. Let me just make sure I get in there and clean it. Also, like to get down in here really good and clean. Now I'm kind of going through this fast. If I was really cleaning this gun, I'd take a lot more time and be a little more detail oriented, but I think it'll serve its purpose for the video. And one thing people tend to forget is their mags. I don't take my mags down every time. In fact, I rarely do. On occasion, but rarely. But what I do is I wipe off the tops of them right here because they get pretty dirty when shooting. Okay, now that that's done, these are pretty moistened with the hops. I like to wipe all of that off. So I'll just get, this is actually my gun cleaning rag. I'll just take it, make sure I get everything wiped off and dried. And what I'm doing right now is just, it's gone almost another cleaning step, but it's also prepping it for the lubricant to go on next. Okay, so now that we've cleaned the gun, it's ready to go back together. But first what we want to do is oil the gun. And you want to be careful oiling the gun depending on what you're going to do with the gun. If it's going to go back into a safe for a long time, then I would advise putting a healthy amount of oil in it. If it's your carry gun, I wouldn't put as much oil in it. If you do that, what it's going to do is attract all the lint and all that kind of stuff from your clothes, and it's just going to make a mess of things. So I wouldn't oil it too much. Now this gun is going to go back in the safe for a little bit, so I'm going to oil it. Oops. I'm going to oil it a little bit. And where I oil it is pretty much anywhere metal meets metal. The outside of the barrel, I'll just get a little oil on my fingers and oil up the barrel. And you want to make sure this spot is nice and oiled too, because that's where the bolts are coming in and hitting, so you want a nice transition there. And for the inside of the barrel, again, if I'm carrying the gun with me, I tend not to oil that part of it because I don't want it attracting all the dust and stuff from your clothes. What I'll do is I'll get a fresh cotton patch, put some oil on that, and we're just going to run it through the barrel to oil the inside of the barrel. And that's probably enough there. So I've got the barrel done, and now I'm going to work on the slide. This is where I like to use Q-tips. I'll just take the oil and soak up oil with the Q-tip, and I like to do the inside rails on both sides. And just a little bit in here, not too much. Again, this gun's going to be put into storage. I don't plan on shooting this one anytime soon, so I'll give it some healthy oil. And the same thing here. Anywhere metal meets metal. A little bit back here on the where the slide's going to match. And I'll do the same with the spring assembly, recoil assembly. I'll just kind of lube it up with my fingers. And that's pretty much it. So that's how I clean my gun. Thanks.